I'm never carrying a credit card balance ever again in my life, because what do you mean I just got charged $143 of interest on my Chase credit card? That's the one I'm targeting right now, trying to pay it off within 3 months. The balance on it was $5,880 after last week's payment. I go in to check the balance today and it is now back up to $6,000. I am so sad about this, but obviously it's expected. I understand that I have a high balance on that card, so it's obvious that interest will be charged until I pay it off. But definitely lesson learned with these credit cards. I am not getting myself into credit card debt ever again. It took me getting into $30,000 of credit card debt to realize that this was definitely not the right move in life. And I feel like as long as there's a lesson learned, it is okay to make mistakes and just do better moving forward.
Sounds doubtful that you won't find yourself back in that situation. You sound so comfortable dealing with this, like this credit card debt is a part of your life and how you go about things. Good luck with all that. Well, I highly doubt this is your last time. You sound so comfortable being in all this mess and having to figure it out. Good luck. I'm 24 and never got a credit card. They actually scare me. Somebody else added, credit cards aren't bad. Your money habits are. Today, we're talking credit card debt. These companies are more than happy watching you dig yourself a hole. I know every other month I get something in the mail trying to get me to bite. So let's get into it.
Hey, let me holler at y'all for a second. How much credit card debt y'all got? Cause once upon a time, I had around $6,000 in credit card debt, and my minimum payment was about $200 a month. And out of that $200 a month, I kid you not, I think 162 went to interest. So what was that, like $38 towards principal every month? Like, it took me 15 years to pay that off. It's insane. So I say this all to say, I remember about 7 years ago being about $6,000 in credit card debt and feeling like I would never get out of it. About a few months ago, I started going on TikTok. And because I talk about finances, I get a bunch of financial content, right? And in that financial content, I find out that there's a ton of people on TikTok sharing that they have $38,000, $53,000, $65,000 plus in credit card debt. And I'm like, how? Sometimes I wonder how some of these people even get approved for $65,000 worth of credit limit. Some of these people have like 580 credit scores. It's like, what bank is even trusting you to pay this back? How do you get that deep? I put it on Threads. Yesterday. I put this conversation on Threads yesterday. Over 3,000 impressions. And there are people like, oh, I got 80 right now. I got 110 right now. 110? 110,000 in credit card debt? I only owe 127,000 on my house.
And down in the comments, 13,000 last November. And as of today, 600. I'll never get that high again. Somebody else said, end of 2022, I had 18,000. End of February 2026, I have 0. So you see, people are making the effort to get these paid off. You owe this money. And all this is on your credit score. So what choice do you have, right? Yeah, you think it's really bad for you until you start hearing some of the stories out there. And then you start to feel a little better about your situation, right? So many people are caught up in this. And the companies love it, man. I mean, this is how they make the money.
I didn't realize I had $18,457 in credit card debt until this happened. I think I just kept telling myself that it really wasn't that bad. It was like $20 here at Publix, $40 dinner night outs. I was eating out sometimes when I was at work and sometimes after work. Then one day, I added everything up. It was the day they told me how much nursing school would be. And my total was $18,457. That's when I decided to kind of rebuild my life before I start nursing school. That's when I came up with this goal of paying off my debt before I start nursing school. Because being $18,457 in credit card debt is crazy. The down payment for a house. And then on top of that, nursing school.
In my 80-year life, I never had credit card debt. Yes, I had credit cards, but never charged more than I could at the end of the month. If I did not have the money, I didn't buy. Yeah, that'll add up on you. Yes, especially when you don't keep track of it. It'll keep piling up. You know, while you keep spending, you're thinking you're not doing that much, right? Just a little bit here, a little bit there. But all that adds up over time. You know, if you don't have the discipline to stay on top of this, especially the discipline to be paying this off, because that's the key, right? Pay it off as soon as you can. If you're not doing these things, you're going to look up and then you have this big balance that you owe. This is how it kind of happens for everybody.
I don't think we as consumers are realizing like how detrimental credit card debt is. Like the average credit card is like between 20 and like 25% APR. So you're paying 25% interest on whatever money you spend. Like, to put that in perspective, if the stock market went down 20% in a year, that is a horrible year. Like, people would be panicking, and you are voluntarily guaranteeing a 20% loss every year you don't pay it down. Every year you keep adding to it. So think of paying off your credit card debt as a 20% gain. So that's just like buying a stock and it going up 20%. A guaranteed 20% is just paying off your credit card debt.
We threw a word in there that people would like to ignore, and that's thinking. If you think too much, it's going to hurt your head. You know, folks would rather bury their heads in the sand and act like it's not happening. You think about it too much, and it's going to have to make sense to you. This is why folks just don't really want to deal with it right away. It sounds good when you're running the numbers, but that takes people being involved and being on top of it. I don't think people want that stress. You just kind of would like to spend and use the card as they need to and worry about the bills later. That's where the issue comes in. But then you have others that don't want to feel like they're in a box. They don't want to worry about this. They just want to live life.
This is going to be a controversial take, but I'm just going to say it. I simply would rather be in credit card debt than not go out and enjoy my life. I would rather have credit card debt than literally be like, yeah, I paid off all my bills and I don't have any debt, but I also haven't, had any fun in the last 2.5 years because I was trying to pay it off. I'm speaking from a position of privilege because I am lucky enough that I've had great jobs and I've been able to pay off my debt, and I only have a little bit of debt left. I've paid off my car, but even when I was paying off my car, even when I have to pay off my student loans, even when I have to pay off my credit cards, I'm not going to sacrifice fun to avoid, I don't know. And again, I don't really spend out of my means, but whenever people are like, yeah, I was $30,000 in debt and I just didn't have fun for an entire year, I'm like, oh, couldn't be me. I'm so sorry, no.
It sounds like you're able to have this mindset to a certain extent. You're on top of your situation, right? You have your bills paid. But what about those who are deep in debt, who can't really afford to think like this? I mean, you to a certain extent can go about it this way because you have your bills paid. But those who are already having to deal with the debt can't afford to think like this. But you'd be surprised how many out there have the same kind of mindset. They just want to have fun and don't want to stress. So they put that on the back burner. In the comments, I am like that right now. I don't need to be fancy, but I'm not staying at home and hating life. I'll fix it later. Someone else added, I don't know. I just found things I like doing that don't put me in debt.
It's official, men are worse at spending money than women. Not only that, but the average American credit card debt is actually $6,580 per individual as of 2026. And where is this all stemming from? Of course, the increase and rising cost of just living and surviving. For instance, since 2020, prices for a family of four have gone up from $860 to $1,500 just for food. And I've spoke on housing a ton of times. It's just as bad there as well. Who are those that are actually holding this credit card debt? Well, the highest amount is ranging from adults from 45 to 60 with $8,000 to $9,000. $6,500 to $7,500, it's people from 30 to 44. And the lowest being Gen Z or seniors over 65 at $4,000 to $5,000. But that's not why you're watching this video. It's because of this. Right here, by gender, men spend about $300 more on their credit cards than women. And something that's very interesting is that men are more likely to finance large ticket purchases, cars, stuff like that, whereas women are more likely to use them for recurring expenses such as bills or food or groceries. How does this range for you? You guys about the same, lower, higher?
Makes sense. Makes sense that folks will be in debt, right? You kind of have to get these loans to get certain things going, start a business, make certain purchases. So it makes sense that we see people in debt. However, the amount of debt that people are carrying nowadays is what's alarming. You have to take care of this. This is a burden that people are carrying every day with everything that they're trying to accomplish in their lives.
I'm about to make you feel way better about yourself because I am 38 and I have $30,000 of debt. $5,000 is about student loans from graduate school, and the rest is credit card debt. I do have a mortgage, which I share with my husband, but everything else is on me. Obviously, it's not something that I'm proud of. Obviously, it has compounded over the last 15 years of spending. I don't spend like I used to, and I haven't done that in a really long time. There were a couple things that factored into that spending that landed me in this debt, but the responsibility is on me. This is all my fault and no one else's. In the spirit of self-care, which this page is about, it's time to start tackling this debt and not put it off anymore. Now in a space where I can pay off my student loan debt in full. Hopefully I'll be doing that this week. And then it's time to tackle the credit card debt, and I've already put some steps into place to make that happen. If you want to follow along in this part of my journey, I'd love to have you. We can share tips along the way, even though I am not a financial advisor. This is not finance advice. I'm trying to decide if I want to utilize engagement to help me make payments on this credit card debt, but first I kind of want to get my thoughts together about how this is going to go.
Someone in the comments with encouragement. You've got this. We ended up filing for bankruptcy after trying for years and struggling. Is it all your fault though? You are married to a man, so in some ways, this is a family situation. And I think in some ways, he's going to have to help you out here and there. Something you're not speaking about. You're saying the debt is all on you, but your husband is involved as well. You all come together as a package.
The reason why credit card debt is so bad is because it's the only kind of debt where your interest rate gets applied to your account monthly and not yearly. Which basically means if you don't pay your statement balance every single month, you will be eaten alive by interest. And yeah, the craziest thing on my last debt giveaway, I think this person only had like $2,000 or $3,000 in credit card debt, and they were paying over $400 a month in just interest. Credit cards are dangerous, man. Stay away from them.
Tell me about it. I'm $50K in debt and work 2 jobs to try and pay it off. Someone else chimed in. Between credit cards and student loans, yeah, it's been hard paying it off. Yeah, they're confident they're going to get you on that interest. You may be able to keep up with it in the beginning. This is the main game that they play with you. This is what they're counting on. This is how they make the money. If you don't understand this when you're getting yourself in this situation and you're going in at a disadvantage already, you have to know what you're getting yourself into. The main game is the interest. They're trying to get you on that. So your job and number one thing is to not find yourself having to pay a lot of interest. And that means paying it off as soon as you can, right? But most folks aren't able to do that. And this is how these companies thrive. And this is how they keep getting your money and keeping you in debt and keeping you locked in.
One thing that I wish more people knew about credit cards is that your credit limit is not your money. I do not use my credit card to buy things I can't afford, and if I don't have the money for it, I am not putting it on a credit card. I use my credit cards as a tool to earn points, get cash back, build my credit, and basically get more value out of money I was already going to spend.
Yeah, but folks don't look at it that way. They see that limit and they see it as money they can freely use, even when they don't have it. Your average person isn't this disciplined. And that's what they want. They want you to spend money you don't have. That's the mistake most people do and make. You know, you're spending money that you don't have and that you're going to have to pay back. This is discipline you have to take on when you're dealing with this. And most people aren't built that way. This is why they find themselves in these situations. And with the comment coming in, treat your credit card like a debit card.
Being in debt has to be one of the worst feelings ever. I remember when I was 23, fresh out of school, had a new job, and I was racking up credit card debt. It got to a point in which I had something like $5,000 worth of credit card debt. Let me tell you something. The way that I felt every morning when I woke up and I knew I had that debt looming, I didn't even want to open the Chase account, because I knew how much I owed. There's something about it that feels like the whole world is shutting down. It feels like it's your last day on the planet. It feels really intense. And if you're someone that's like in this situation that might be dealing with credit card debt, you have to face your fears and you have to come up with a solution. I remember I used to tell myself like, oh, like I wish it would go away, but long story short, what I realized is that like hope is not really a strategy, right? Like I can't wish the debt away, or I can't wish or pray that I run into a bunch of money and pay everyone back. If you know that you're in debt, find help immediately. Find help immediately and try to find a strategy to get out. Something that I do, and again, I offer consultation services, etc., so we can like have a whole conversation about a strategy. But something that I realize is that sometimes you're gonna need help getting out of the hole. It's not always simple, but let me tell you something. When you find someone that can help you, when you're able to kind of put the pieces together so that you can get yourself out of a bad situation, it will make your life so much better. Because being in debt, low key, is like being in hell. Yeah.
Now imagine folks who have 3 times the amount to pay off and don't have this calm mind state that you have to approach this reasonably. Imagine how they're feeling. I mean, we hear these tragedies because people are in debt. You feel like you're being suffocated and that you'll never come out of it because it's been piling up. You know, folks feel like there's no way out and they get depressed. This is something you really have to think about before you involve yourself with these credit card companies. Get all this debt put on you. You never know how it's going to truly affect you until you're deep in it and have to deal with it. And a lot of folks just can't. I mean, we do hear the stories of people working hard to pay it off. That's good. There's folks out here who are getting on top of that, you know, and handling that business. But for the ones who can't, the ones on the other side of it that aren't able to dig themselves out, it could feel very lonely. And for some, decide that they don't want to go on. And so I thought this was another one of those topics. I mean, it's one of those very old topics. We've heard about it a lot, but you know, we have to keep shining a light on it as well. I mean, ultimately, it's going to be up to you. The discipline's going to have to come from you. You have to know how to approach these situations or choose not to deal with them at all. I think that might be the best direction. But you all let me know what you think. This has been it for this one. Until the next one.